I'm Sharon Savidson. Welcome to my podcast, Uplevel Your Life with Sharon. I'm a certified coach and a holistic practitioner. I'm also a mother of 2 adult children. I started this podcast so that I can give you bite-sized pieces and tools that you can take away with you, so that you can use these in your daily life. In all of my years of practice, my clients have told me that it helps them to have specific tools that they can use and practice on a daily basis. So, I want to provide you with many tools, and then you can decide which of the tools resonate with you that you can use on a daily basis or when you need them. So, whether you are feeling frustrated with life or you're just looking to enhance your life, this podcast is for you. If you are ready to uplevel your life, you're in the right place. So let's move forward together. Hey everyone, welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with David Zarza. And for those of you that did not listen to part 1, then please after this go ahead and listen to it. But let me tell you a little bit about David. David loves giving you the keys to freedom, inspiration, and vital energy to reclaim your dreams. As a psychic medium and intuitive life coach, he guides you towards your perfect possible future self into a life you love. You can usually find him in Seattle with his kiddies, writing the next book, or engaged with clients, helping them along on their more purposeful life. He wants nothing more than for you to be the most content, happy, confident, and peaceful journey through life. And I'll tell them how to find you at the end of this. So just for those that
Sure.
are not familiar with David from part 1, David and I met
Mhm.
in 2002 when we were both at the Hypnosis Institute in LA, and we have been very good friends ever since. David is just incredibly resourceful and interesting and just the most amazing person. So, in part 1, we discussed connecting to your spirit, and we also discussed being in integrity with yourself, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Anything you want to add to that about part 1?
Yes. Well, only in that the reason you would want to pursue integrity is just to have the full access of what I'm going to call your greatest expression of yourself in this incarnation, in this life.
Right,
So only if you want to level up to that greatest expression of you should you focus on these tools and ideas.
right. All right,
Yeah.
so Dave, let's just for those that haven't listened to part 1 yet, can you tell us what your journey was and how you got to where you are?
Oh, yes. So my life has been filled with very curious and non-ordinary experiences. Okay? From from having spontaneous out-of-body experiences since I was a child, literally like 3 or 4 years old, um, and having extraordinary knowing, like psychic messages, uh, visions since I was a kid too. And then I think everything was sort of turbocharged or turbo powered when I drowned to death at 7 years old. And this is Chucky, by the way. This is my other kitty, my other black kitty. So after having died, I'm sure other people who have had near-death experiences or actual death and coming back experiences would share that you're very different when you come back. Okay. And through those experiences, being very different, having a non-ordinary perspective on the world, because of these specific experiences, it made me focus on human potential, what we as human beings, as divine creations, could actually do in this world, how we can help each other, awaken, become alive, and be better versions of ourselves. And so that's how I got into being a psychic medium, so I can guide people towards their best selves, and also being an integrity intuitive life coach, to give people the tools. I always say that when you go to a psychic or when people come to me, I give them a lot of information about what's going on and what may happen and what is likely to happen. But when you work with me as a coach, because I am still a psychic and the coach, I can give people the map to get to their best selves even more quickly than if they were just
Right.
doing it on their own. Yeah.
Right. You
Yeah.
know, it reminds me of a session with a client this morning where he's young, he's in his mid-20s, and he was giving me a scenario, and he was kind of rambling along the scenario, and he apologized for not being more coherent. But
Mhm.
I was seeing the picture. I
Mhm.
could already visualize exactly what it was and what the likelihood of what the other person was feeling because I had a visual of it. And so that's what's awesome about the work when we have access to this and beyond is that we get additional information. And what I always say is I don't always understand the information that I'm getting. In this particular instance, I could see it very clearly. I said, I'm always following him and I'm always seeing it beyond what he's telling me or any of
Yeah.
my clients for that matter. But then also other information that comes in that I'll say, look, I don't know what this necessarily means. Does it resonate with you? And if not, throw it out the window.
Yes, yes. And I sort of want to throw a question back at you,
Yes.
okay? Because of what we're going to talk about today,
Yes.
right? The infinite use, um, and infinite me's. What if, what if I were
Yes.
to tell you that when you tune in to those, you know, your client, like sometime into the future, what if it is not this reality that you're tuning into, but another reality where they're more actualized?
So I do quantum jumping with my clients. And I'm going to tell you, for those that haven't watched part one, David is the one that actually brought up the parallel universes to me and the different realities. I really did not know anything about it. And maybe I'd seen it or heard it or whatever, but it wasn't really in in my
Wheelhouse.
or a wheelhouse spread, whatever it is, right? So you were the one that really exposed me to it and got
Mm,
me curious about it. And then when I was ready to start using it, it came about and came to me in different ways.
mm,
So I'm going
mm.
to let you, I do use it. I use it
Yeah,
for myself and I use it for
yeah,
my clients.
yes. Yeah.
So
So uh I'm gonna expand on that, okay? And I'm gonna talk about why I asked that question the way I asked it. Because so in the first part, we talked about our relationship to our spirit and how important that is when we want to have access to our full roster of gifts in this life. Okay? The ones that we know about, the ones we desire, and those that we have no idea we even have. Okay? And the beauty of that relationship with your spirit, because it is connected to that great big soul, the infinite, source, we too have access to all of that
yeah,
almost on demand.
yeah,
Okay. And people listening might wonder, like, might believe them too, they know it at some level in themselves that that is true, that is correct. I know that. But the missing piece is how, right? Like, how do we access that? How do we call it in? How do we tap into it in a reliable, consistent way? And so that's when I created this tool or this technique of aligning with the infinite use. And I call it aligning because it's another way of being in integrity with yourself beyond this life, beyond this reality, in alignment with the other yous. Okay?
okay,
Because just to set the stage or just to paint the picture, um, one of my favorite mentors was Debbie Ford. She passed away, and she worked a lot on our shadow, right, our dark side. And she studied the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung a lot and often quoted him. I'd rather be whole than good, is one thing that he would always say. And in listening to Debbie, before I started studying Jung myself, she said, you have access to all the light aspects of you and all the dark aspects of you. The purpose of shadow work is just to give you a greater choice in what you express and when. Okay.
Mm.
And I heard that, and in my mind, like, it expanded what I had access to, like, here, right? It meant that I have access to, I'm going to say, even more spiritual, possibly like far out hippie David, right? Who might have, like, I don't know, shamanistic crowns that he wears, and works with nature in that way differently than I do. As well as there might be uh super corporate David, right? That has no room for this woo-woo stuff that we're talking about today. And there might even be, like, a part of me that is what I'm going to call um an ethical David, right? Who maybe lives on the fringes of society, not participating in it in a constructive way. Like, I could do any of those things if I chose to, right? But in this incarnation, in this reality, in this life, I chose to be a guide and a person uh, who liberates others from fear and pain, right? That's my goal. That's my purpose. I have owned it.
Right.
But then I got to wondering, um, like, when I meet people like wonderful Sharon, right, who is a mom, who is a coach, who's into fitness way more than I am, I could have been like a Sharon, right? And it got me thinking, what if, because our universe is holographic, um, it works off of fractals, it's infinite, it's huge. What we know, literally what we can see is just a fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum, right? Just that, right, tells us that there's way more than we have access to at this moment in these human bodies. So then I asked the universe, right? My great big huge guide, who's always been reliable, could you show me more of this so that I can use it in a practical way to expand who I am becoming, and then possibly pass on those gifts to other people, or those tools to other people, so that they can do the same for them? Because I would love it if there were people who could join me in this way of thinking, in this way of living, so that we can have, that kind of level of consciousness here on Earth.
Right.
And so that's when it showed me. It showed me through a meditation, and I call it the Infinite Use Meditation. It's actually available on my website if people want to go through it. Actually, I think it's on my YouTube channel. It's the Infinite Use Meditation. You can experience this, okay? Like, anyone can experience this. And it showed me that there is a way, not through words, but through images and emotions, that you can connect to any version of you in any other reality or universe. And the reason you can access them is because they are you. They just have slightly different histories, and they make slightly different choices than you in this present moment, you know? And that just blew me away.
Right. So
Mm.
you know what it brings up for me? It brings up a few things.
Yes.
One is when I was younger, I remember somebody saying to me, like,
Mhm.
who are you? And I remember responding, I'm not one thing.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm this, and sometimes I'm this, and sometimes I'm this. And I can be quiet, and I can be outgoing, and I can be shy, and I can be all of those things,
Mhm.
right? So there are all of these different parts of us that we can express at any time, right?
Mhm.
One more
Yes.
thing that I want to say that's popped into my head, which I think is also kind of speaking to what you're talking about, but
Mhm.
it happened pretty recently. I started painting again after 20 years.
Nice. Nice. Awesome. Yes.
And my and Jamie commissioned my kids commissioned me to do something for them. And what I was doing for her was fine art. And I'm more of an abstract, like I want to get my hands dirty and I want to
Yeah.
do all different things and everything. It
Yeah.
was fine art. And it was really it was challenging for me. I was copying something, but it was challenging because even though I used to sketch before and a lot, I hadn't done it for 20 years. And then there was this really complicated thing. So I did it and I really struggled over it, right? I was kept redoing it. But the one part, this one little piece, I did something completely different. But when I looked at it and I was like, I really don't like this. And if I go visit her and I
Yeah.
look at this on the wall, I know I'm going to want to repaint it on the wall.
Yeah.
So I literally went to my future self and I said, you have done this along the line somewhere, right?
Mm.
And I also brought in not only my future self, but I also brought in anybody, like help me, any guide, anybody that wants to download
Yes.
what needs to happen right here, because I cannot do this
Hmm.
from my own limited knowledge of what I have right now, either from fear or whatever else it was. And I
Yes.
ended up doing it. Was it perfect? No. Was it acceptable to me? Yes.
Hmm. Yes.
And I redid this hand in a way that I don't know, like that I would have been able to do, but I did ask for access beyond myself. Is that what
Hmm.
you're talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, and that's an incredibly relatable example, that most people can use as inspiration for using this tool, right? It doesn't have to be for wanting to like change the world, right? It could literally be so you can like what I'm doing right now, which I have never done before. I'm literally constructing an office in my
I
backyard.
know.
Okay. Construction. I have never worked with my hands that way ever in the world. And I'm learning about, footers. I'm learning about roofing. Oh my God, roofs are incredibly
Mhm.
complicated. Okay. So your roofers out there, I commend you. It's a lot of work.
Dave, you know what's coming up for me with that?
Yes. Yes.
You're doing the sacred geometry. You're doing geometry, and the expansion is geometric, right?
Hmm.
So like you're expanding into the world, which you've already done. I mean, you're so well known. But you're expanding into the world, but look at how you're doing it. It's like you're building
Yes.
this construct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very symbolic, actually, I
It,
think.
it is. It is. And it's blowing my mind because I did what you did. I reached out to a construction builder, David, right? Who helped me figure out like how I should even approach this project, right? Like I feel him. He talks differently, he walks differently, he behaves differently than me, but I can feel him and I allow his energy like through me. Um, and he showed me where to start, like where to begin, what resources to go after so that I can do this immediately and not have it take years, and how to finish things. Because I got to tell you, one of my biggest difficulties, one of my biggest challenges is finishing, right? It's
That-
literally like when I wrote my books, uh, putting a period at the end and calling it done was the hardest thing for me to do, right? And when I'm doing a project at home, I think it might be because of my natural ADD. I will go on to the next thing without finishing the first thing because it catches my interest more,
Right.
right? And so this builder constructor David helps me finish, like I finished the structure, I finished the floor, I finished the windows, and now I'm finishing the roof. And normally it would have been left like completely open, exposed to the elements, if I didn't have his presence here with me.
And so do you keep asking, like, okay, show me what I need to do so that
Hmm.
you can see it differently, like you see it differently.
Yes, and you can do it in two ways, and I'm gonna tell you guys like
Awesome.
how to access these other yous. But you can do it in two ways. One is actually feel them as separate, right? As if they are joining you like another person. or you can completely internalize them, their energy, right? And almost operate as if you are them.
So you step into their body, basically.
Exactly.
You're stepping
Exactly.
into them
Or
as
they're stepping into me. Yeah.
right, right,
Vice versa. It depends. It
right,
depends.
right, right,
Yeah. Um, and you can do it in both ways. You can probably do it in a third way, right? But to me, I like sharing about these two ways because some people like to be associated with energies like that, right? And some people need that dissociation to have that
right,
clarity, right?
right,
Um, so in order to connect with this you, right, you have to have at least the foundation of a slightly creative imagination, okay?
right,
And to me, I've never called my imagination as just a make-believe machine. To
right,
me, it's actually a reality navigator, like it's a tuner that can show me things that I am not naturally or innately familiar with.
right,
That's my imagination.
right,
And so whenever people want to enhance their intuitive or psychic abilities or mediumship abilities, I often have them start here, is to exercise their imagination or familiarize themselves with their imagination.
right.
Because through it, that is how the universe and the other yous will communicate with you.
Right. Dave, I do want to just expand and
Of course,
again correct me if I'm wrong.
of course.
We have different ways of receiving. So I'm clairsentient, I feel. I don't I some sometimes and I'm also visual.
Yes.
Um so I see and I've done that since I can remember. I would see random things, which is very interesting because I would see like literally random. I would like just be looking at the wall and then pictures of like chairs and
Yeah.
like stuff that I was like,
Yeah.
why am I seeing pictures of chairs and tables from when I was little
Yeah.
until when I was older. I started to be able, it started to come to me differently. Like it started to organize a little differently. It was like I'm a slow learner.
Hmm.
So can you just talk to the fact that you may hear something, you may see
Yes.
something, you may
Yes.
experience something, you may feel
Absolutely.
something, maybe
Absolutely.
different.
Yeah. So your imagination um can integrate or interface with the different parts of you,
Right,
because you have an inner visual sense, you have an inner auditory sense, you have an inner sensation sense, right? Just like you have that proprioception where you know if you're athletic, where you are in space, right?
right,
Um, you have that even if you were to not have a physical body. Okay.
right,
Even without a physical body, you have access to these internal senses. Okay.
right,
And so when you're doing this kind of work, like the thing I'm going to guide you guys through, um, go with your strength, your natural strength. Okay. So if visioning, which is mine, um, if you can see things, if you can envision things, through your imagination, let that be the focus, right? If you prefer just feeling like the emotions, right, or the sensations, go with that. If you hear their voice, right, in your audio sense, let that be what guides you, right? If it's more of a, I don't know, like a knowing, right? Just thoughts coming through your head, let it be that, right? Because there's no right way of doing this.
no.
There's 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 just the way that is natural for you.
Yes, and just to expand on that a little bit as well, one of my teachers, I signed up for one of his classes. I was just curious to see how he was teaching how to
Mhm.
access the psychic ability. And
Mhm.
what he was saying was, you don't see with your eyes and you don't hear with your ears. So
Mhm.
I used to like try to see things
Yes.
differently. And you know
Yes.
what? It was when I was not attached to
Mhm.
like trying so hard to see something that's when it came to me. So
That's right.
yes, you see, and also you don't really see.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I can go off on a tangent about this because people always ask me like when you see things for people, what is it that you see? And for me, being completely honest, and it's always been this way, I see ripples and swirls, like
Oh,
like like
interesting.
like how fingerprints are, or drops in water. Those shapes are what end up being interpreted in my mind as like colors or people or times or places.
Interesting.
And so when people ask me like, what is it that you're seeing? I'm like, if I described it literally, you would not understand it, right? Because my mind just knows what these are. I don't know how. So
Right,
so absolutely, you don't see with with your eyes. You don't hear psychically with your ears.
right,
Um, but most people don't understand that, even though that is such a slight shift,
right,
right? Try to get it. Spend some time with that because it's almost like a Zen koan,
right,
right? That doesn't totally make sense until you get it.
right.
Um, so tuning into the other yous takes some imaginative capacity or ability, right? And just for anybody listening, because I've had clients who tell me, I cannot imagine even a red apple if you tell me red apple, right? And I say, okay, that's fine. But you experience something internally, let that guide you to what is more natural to you, whether it's seeing, knowing, feeling, hearing, tasting even, or smelling.
Well,
Um,
Dave, we learned about the lemon, right, in the
oh
hypnosis.
yes,
It's like just imagine that
absolutely.
you like however you can see it, taste it, whatever that you're tasting
Yes,
lemon, and then you'll see the grimace on the
yes.
person's face, like it's real.
Absolutely. Like it's happening to them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's sort of what we're looking for with this experience when we're tuning into our infinite self. And the reason I call it connecting with your infinite yous
I
is
love
because there literally are an infinite variation of yous. And I just want to make a quick distinction from um like when you yourself try to envision something for you, let's say in your future, right? Quick example. Um, I'm looking for a house, right? I'm gonna let the universe or whatever being or source give me a vision of that ideal house, right? What you're doing there is you're taking the you that has had the history you have had, right? And the present moment that you are having, project or receive information about that future you, right?
it.
In this life, usually that it's just in this life, in this reality.
Mm-hmm.
When you're tuning to an infinite you, one that is drastically like different or even slightly different than you, um, you are connected to a version of you that has a wholly different history than you. Okay. And they likely make different choices than you, which is what has led them to this expression of themselves in that reality. Right.
Right.
Like Constructor Builder David had a totally different background than me. Right. You can dive into, if you're really curious, what that other you has experienced through their memories, through their childhood, through their past. But to me, I would say that's not necessarily important. What you
Yeah.
should let
I,
what you should let guide you is the quality, the the attribute, the characteristic, or the final goal, the desired outcome. Let that guide you as to which you reach out to. Okay. And if you don't know specifically who might help in this situation that you have on your hands, you can leave it up to the universe. Universe, guide me to a version of me that can help most in this situation. Right. Because there's there are default settings, in our universe, even in our own system, that can guide us to the right thing.
right.
That's sort of like how life works. Go ahead.
So here's my question.
Yes.
So why would you, or not why, but like, what is the difference between saying, um, I'm going to go to one of my use as
Mhm.
opposed to I'm going to channel somebody else or a
In this
master
reality.
in this reality? Like, what is there a difference, or does, or both? It doesn't matter. You can do either.
You can absolutely do either. Okay. The reason why I recommend this, or why I even started doing this, is because it was slightly easier for me to relate to another me. Right. So it was almost easier to accept their guidance or their wisdom or their energy into my system, almost easier to assimilate it, right? Or to accept it. because it was a me. They look like me, right? I mean, they resemble me. Some of them look drastically different than me. Um, but it was easier to relate to.
Right. Dave,
But
what do
it's
you do if someone has resistance? Like someone just saying, well, I don't know how to do that and I can't do that and
yeah.
so
Honestly, in that case, I would say don't even try this. Don't even try it. And I'll say why, right? If you have an interest, if you have a curiosity, if you have a wish or a desire, that is what you need in order to reach out to them. Because, like I said earlier, you cannot use words to find them, right? You cannot use a technology to find them. You must reach out to them through emotions and sometimes even like images or sensations. So if there is resistance, I would say you might not be ready for this yet, and that's
right.
okay. Yeah. Because you
I'll
must,
tell you, I'm really using this with the painting because I'll tell you me in when I was younger and I was painting.
yes.
And I had this need to be perfect and that every painting had to be perfect. And I joined an art class and the teacher would laugh at me and go, "You're terrible." And I would go home and cry. I mean, I had children. I would go home and cry. And one day I walked in and I said, I'm just going to relinquish control about the outcome. And then I ended up selling that painting for like $2,000. But so, and then I went on to paint and to sell and I was commissioned, etc. But this time it's very different. This time I'm allowing my the artist me to come
Yes.
in and I'm just playing and it's such a different way and I'm just trusting and there's no attachment to the goal and the outcome. There's no judgment about it. There is just sheer
Allowing,
curiosity
allowing.
and
Yeah.
allowing, right?
Yeah.
And so I put stuff down and then I picked up the one and picked up the one little one and I just added some color and I'm like that, so no attachment to this. It has, and I think that that's really important, the attachment to the outcome.
Absolutely. That can stifle the fun.
Right,
Yeah. And that could limit the information you end up receiving.
right, 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 right,
Because just like with trying to be more psychic or intuitive, um, the more you try, the more you engage that left side of your brain, right?
right,
And so it makes it harder for your intuitive, creative side to receive pure information. Yeah.
right.
So I would say practice, and I apologize, my allergies are acting, my allergies are attacking me right now. Um,
What does that mean?
no, that my kitty is in my lap right now. Um, and and just have fun with it.
Have fun.
Yes. Like
I
like
think
the like
that's
the like the less pressure you can have on this type of experience, the better. But just so you guys know, um, I've helped like authors, writers, like both fictional and nonfiction writers, um, be able to break writer's block through this
Mhm.
practice. You know,
Mhm.
I've helped like actors, literally like in Hollywood, excuse me, embody their characters more
Mhm.
by connecting to a version of themselves that is like the character they want to portray, you know? And I've had children who have had troublesome relationships with their parents here in this life, right? Tune in to these other versions of themselves so they can have like the mental pathways and patterns of what it feels like to have had healthier
Mhm.
relationship with parents. You
Mhm.
know, so this can be like an incredibly therapeutic tool or just an expansion of yourself, like leveling yourself up in some way,
Mhm.
or just to do it for fun.
Dave, you know where I found it really beneficial
Yes.
was when I was working at the teenage rehab center. That
Ooh.
this job like got dropped in my lap.
Mhm.
And I was working with the kids with this, and it was profound. I mean, it really, really made a difference with them because we were able to take them out of the stuck space
Yes.
and elevate to a different reality, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So let me give your listeners, your watchers, the ingredients. How to
Awesome.
do this, okay?
That would be awesome.
So number one, Get yourself into a receptive state, right? You can do it while you're like parked at a park in your car. Um, you can do it while you're, in your usual meditation space. You can even do it honestly in a noisy mall or watching TV, right? Um, but you get yourself into a receptive state, whatever that means for you. Two, you literally clarify the intention in yourself of who you wish to reach out to, right? Like for me, it was builder, constructor, David, right? In the past, it has been um athletic David, right? Like the one that can help me like exercise more or be more healthy fitness wise. Um, but you can tune in to artist Sharon, okay? You can tune in to let's say you were a new mom, right? Overwhelmed. You can tune into excellent mother Sharon,
Mhm.
right? Or parent if it's a father. You can tune in if you want to be creative, right? And you're a fictional author, you can tune into murder you, okay, or criminal you. That is possible. Um, but you clarify the intention of who you want to reach out to, and ideally, you only try per session to reach out to one
One.
virgin, one
Right.
virgin. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you guys why. Because you want to keep the intention as pure as possible, okay, just as pure as possible.
Right.
So you clarify the intention. So while you're in that receptive state, you literally send out that intention or that invitation to reach out to this other version of you through the meditation that's online that people can find on my website or my YouTube channel. Um, it'll guide you through this whole process. Okay. I just want to talk about it intellectually here so people know what they're going to be doing.
Okay.
Next, you let your consciousness take you to that other you. Okay. For some people, it can be incredibly gentle and it can be sort of like lulling and smooth. For other people, it can be incredibly abrupt. It's like, oh, I'm right next to them or I'm right in them. Once you made a connection, and you'll know when you've made a connection because it will just feel like the answer, right?
Right.
That's when you can take advantage and either ask them questions literally, right? Like in your mind, in your own self, and see what answers you receive. Or you can step into their energy, familiarize yourself with their energy so much that you bring them here into this reality. Okay. Um, Now a warning. Okay.
Yes.
because because when you align to a different you, it's literally like you create a pathway to them, okay? An energetic pathway to them.
Right.
That means that any intense experience here in this world, in your current life, can travel to them and cause possibly a, a boon, like something good for them, or a distraction, like a tugging on their energy in a different way. The same can be said about them for you. Because
Right.
if you are consciously creating this connection, what may happen in their life, in their reality, may come to you or affect you.
Right.
Okay. So if you have done this, because clients have told me this, if you have done this and then one day you feel something completely uncharacteristic, right? Or not usual to you, you can, if it feels connected to a you that you reached out to, you can say, oh, my you must be going through this, or my you might be, feeling this. And
Right.
then your mind has an answer and you don't have to obsess about it. You can move on, right?
Right.
But that's a warning, a real warning that I have for my clients is be careful who you reach out to, which you reach out to, because you may experience consequences through that connection, both good and
Okay. So then would
bad.
would it be beneficial? Would it be beneficial to clear the energy? So you set the intention that you are maybe bringing them here or connecting to them, but you also set the intention that you are releasing them, like cutting cords from
Yes.
that particular situation, and so that you don't experience that. So you do your energetic cleansing.
Absolutely. You can do that if you are familiar with it. but most people are not, which is why I always like to share the warning. Um, Chances are nothing like this will ever happen. Okay? No, no felt consequences will ever
Right.
happen. But I share about it because I have had random experiences with other clients who have had
Right.
these consequences. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
David, and that takes us on another whole down road of
I
the
know.
energy of other people and etc. and
Absolutely.
energetic cleansing and hygiene and all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and continuing on, not necessarily with a warning, because you have connected with this you now have easier access to them even in your conscious state, in the non-receptive state, right? Because if you are familiar with their energy, you can literally call on them, okay? And I actually have a theory
Mm.
that when we feel um, highly distracted for no reason, right? Or when we feel like we must daydream or doze off,
Hmm.
maybe another you pulling your
Mm.
consciousness or your energy to them for some reason, right?
Interesting.
That's why I've
Yeah.
never worried about the like those weird experiences that happen that way. I
Right.
always assume it might be for a good reason, not
Right.
necessarily for a bad reason. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But I like to share that you now have access to them more easily in your conscious state than in a receptive state.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to encourage everybody
Hmm.
to you may not it may happen on the first time and you may go straight
Correct.
into it and you may be one of those people that it's just as you say it's the jolt
Hmm.
or it may be a slow awakening, right? So it may take time and it may take practice and it may
Yep.
take a little bit more faith, but
Exactly.
and have fun with it. That's the
Have
whole
fun
thing
with
is
it.
this is fun.
Hmm. Hmm. It's incredibly fun and it's incredibly kind of beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because if you think about it, what if you were to truly, clearly connect with so many of yous? Like, what kind of energy could run through you?
Yeah.
What could your consciousness truly be like if you had access to all of these different colors of you? You know,
Yeah.
like what would happen, right? I've actually never actively tried to reach out more than a you that I need help from.
Right.
But what if you actually had a practice where, I don't know, every day you connected with a different you? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, so once you made the connection, once you've invited their energy or awareness in, or you've interacted with them in whatever way feels appropriate, you can end the connection in whichever way you want. You can thank them, you can feel gratitude and send it to them. You can just bring yourself back into full consciousness. But there usually is never a downside to doing this. There usually is never a downside to doing this. Um, and then the third thing, I mean, the last thing that you do is you start acting or you start moving, from the gift or the energy or the insight or wisdom that you got from them, right? Like for me, for Constructor Builder David, it was to move on that project.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And trust. But
Hmm.
then you go about if you embody it.
Yes, exactly. You
That's
embody
it.
it.
You
That's a better
embody it,
word. Yeah.
right? As opposed to, and then we can get into the whole thing about our language, etc. With, all of that. How do we reinforce,
True.
you know,
Oh, and something else. Um, just to loop it back to our first conversation, this experience can be like turbo boosted or turbocharged by the level of integrity that you embody.
right.
Okay. Can I quickly talk about the levels of integrity?
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So so I should have mentioned this in our previous video. Um, but to me, there are three levels of integrity. Okay.
Okay.
There's what I'm going to call essential integrity, which is the level of integrity that you're naturally born with, right? It's that feeling that you had when you were younger of just being your full self. And you noticed a shift from your full self when someone or something made you step out of your integrity or your own alignment.
Right.
So essential integrity is something that you may be able to keep for the rest of your life, or you may lose it, right?
Okay.
But there's nothing wrong with losing it. It's just another human experience. There's conscious integrity. which is what we're talking about here, right?
Right.
Where you deliberately try to stay as consistently as possible in alignment within yourself through
Right.
your life, right? Again, we are not looking for perfection. Uh, I like the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the time be good, 20% of the time be human, right?
Right.
And that's conscious integrity when you are intentionally, consciously seeking to stay in alignment within yourself.
Right.
Then there's the ultimate level of integrity, which is universal integrity. And that one, you know you're experiencing it because you no longer have to consciously intend to stay in alignment. Alignment is your natural state. Okay.
Right.
And it's in that natural state of universal integrity that magical things just start happening around you. Some of us, I know you've had the experience. Um, you have moments of this, right? You might even have days or weeks of this where you don't have to think about being in alignment, where life just feels like it's flowing, like it's going like magically well, until it's not, right?
Right.
And when it's not, I would say come back to conscious integrity and fall back into universal integrity. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the reason I mentioned that is being in integrity with yourself, in alignment within yourself, it will help you access these other yous,
Right.
and it will help you receive their insights, wisdom, energy,
Right.
presence more
I
easily.
do want to say something that I think is important is that I always say, and I've got friends who turn around and go, you manifest things. It's incredible how you manifest. But I'm always in awe. I
Mhm.
expect it to happen. And
Yes.
also I'm very humble about it happening. I'm not
Mhm.
blasé about the things
Yeah.
that, and they happen to me all the time, right? Things
Yes.
will fall into my lap. Things will come to me when I want an answer to something or I need something or whatever else. The universe will deliver it if it's the right thing for me.
Yes.
Remember, if it's not the right thing for me, then I know to let it go and to say this is something better, or if it's not right, then I don't want it.
Hmm.
Right. But there's an energy of humility that I think that is important to say, be in awe, always be grateful
Yes.
for what you get, because that is a higher frequency than the ego going. It just
Yeah.
reminds me of Wayne Dyer when he said that he started to levitate. And when he was levitating, he thought, oh, this is so cool. I'm going to tell everyone tomorrow. And he dropped and he said he never ever levitated again. The minute his ego went to, I think it was Wayne Dyer, the minute his ego went to, I need to share this with everybody. Look how cool I
Yes.
am. It was like,
Yes.
right. So just come from awe and
Yeah.
gratitude.
Yes, and I would even assert that you likely wouldn't be exploring this work, right? Or this practice if you were going to try to show it off. Because in a way you can't, right? It's only like provable to you.
Right.
I mean, yes, you can create things, through channeling a different you that add to the world or make it different, but no one will be able to like see this
Right.
um in a visible way unless you walk differently, right? Or unless you speak more eloquently.
Right.
But absolutely, I would always say humility is beautiful, just like vulnerability and absolutely like authenticity. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Any other example of somebody that you've helped using this technique?
Yes. Yes. So there's this lovely client. Her name is Lisa. Um, we met when she was actually incredibly suicidal, okay? Because she was experiencing huge dramas and traumas in her family of origin. Her father had passed. Her mother was disabled and was being taken care of by her son, my client, Lisa's brother. And Lisa kept getting like lack of appreciation and almost like abuse from her brother and her mother who was disabled. And she came to me because she was like, David, I'm single. I felt like I've lived for my family for so long. I can't do this anymore. Nothing in my life is making me happy. And I feel like literally like ending it. And she came to one of my spiritual salons when I was having them regularly, and she told me this at the end of the session because one of her friends brought her here. And I said, because the universe moved me, and the universe said, work with her. And I literally said, Lisa, work with me for 6 sessions. And I promise you will feel different. Your life will look different after those 6 sessions. She was super pessimistic, but she did. She committed to it. And she committed and she showed up engaged, enthusiastic, and ready to like live differently. Well, we tried this technique, infinite use, because she had never really had a loving relationship that
Yeah.
was full of trust, that was full of faithfulness and healthy communication. She wanted to at least experience that, if nothing else, right? Because she knew she likely wasn't going to experience a different version of her brother or her mom. And
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't change the fact that her dad, who was her favorite parent, passed away, right? But she could at least make those internal shifts that let her align with a love that was good. And I said, okay, guess what? We're gonna connect to loving Lisa. Okay. And for loving Lisa, relationships come easy. Friendships are nourishing and delicious. She has no trouble being confident around strangers and just being her authentic self, right? And and she doesn't feel self-conscious around men because she already has such a natural, healthy confidence in herself that no one gets to define her but her. Okay. And so she reached out to loving Lisa, and she was even more than who we intended to reach out to, right? And she was actually way more like maternal and motherly to my client. So it was almost like she had connected with a parent version of herself,
Right.
right? That was telling her, literally how to be better at eating, working, treating her body, living in her house, plus giving her wisdom and the energy of what it's like to carry yourself to be open to a loving relationship that can nourish her. She loved it. So she regularly connected with loving Lisa for like months after. And then I think it was actually like 3.5 months or 4 months after working with her for the last time that she sent me a text and she said, David, I have been dating this gentleman for like more than 3 weeks. It's going really, really well. I'm trying to not let my past self like self-sabotage things and just go with this and explore it. And she said, and I'll never forget this, she said, even if this doesn't become a long-lasting love, I am experiencing what I wished for,
Yeah.
which is to be open to a loving relationship that I had not experienced before.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like, it was a little sad for me, right? Like to hear her, because I could hear the pessimism in that statement, right? But it was beautiful for her to be confidently vulnerable,
Right.
not scared of this experience, even if it was not going to last long.
Well, sometimes we need a stepping stone. Sometimes I think that the jump between where we are and where we need to go is
Too
too
big.
big. And so there needs to be an interim where you have enough growth. But then when you're starting off again, you are not the same person. So the bar is higher when you start off, and then you proceed to the next level.
Absolutely. And can I tell you something about that too?
Yes.
So this was years ago, okay? This was around 2010 when this happened. Now we're in 2025, okay? Yes, she has had at least 3 significant relationships since then, but she is currently in the healthiest, most amazing relationship she has ever experienced. Right
So she had to learn. There were things that she needed to learn.
now.
And know
Absolutely.
that, right? Not everything's going to be perfect all of the time. It's like we are
Or
here to also
instant, or
learn
instant.
or
Yeah.
instant. We're here to
Yeah.
learn lessons. I mean, that's part of the experience of
Yeah.
being here. So,
Exactly. Yep.
right. Oh, I love
So
that.
so that's an example of where this worked dramatically.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
Mhm. Mhm.
One more thing. What
Yes.
does up level mean to you?
To me, up leveling is incredibly personal. Okay. Only you can know if you have up leveled, but it's stepping into what I call the greatest expression of yourself,
Mm,
you know? And that greatest expression of yourself could be right now compared to yesterday, and it could be tomorrow based on today, right? But whatever that up leveling is for you, it's an inside job. Yeah, but that's what it is. It's stepping into and really becoming a greater expression of yourself in whatever way that means.
I love that.
Yeah.
David, how can people find you? Where can they get
Uh,
hold of you?
Easily on my website, davidzarza.com. People can always text me, okay? So for some reason people feel scared to text me. You can text me. My phone number is literally on the website. You can go to the socials, right? Just searching David Zarza, psychic medium, or Seattle, Washington, whatever. Um, but yeah, they can reach out to me there. Or if they want a personal introduction, they can reach out to you and then you can
Absolutely.
make the introduction. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I want to hear from the audience about how they felt about this and whether they try it and what worked, what didn't work, etc. So everybody, please reach out to us, give us feedback.
Mhm.
And David, thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank
This
you so
is
much, Sharon. I
absolutely
love it.
awesome. And
Yes, it
thank
was.
you everybody for being here and looking forward to connecting next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Up Level Your Life with Sharon. Congratulations on taking a step towards obtaining the knowledge and tools for your well being and your success. But remember, knowledge alone isn't enough, and true transformation comes from consistent action. So, what insight from today's episode will you be able to apply to your life? I'd love to hear from you. Please send me a message. And for more information, please visit my website at www.sharonsavitson.com. If this podcast has been helpful, please subscribe and share. And together we can uplevel and inspire more people to live their best life.